My name is Harjeet. I am a happy soul, the HR guy, and I am going to talk about HR beyond the desk, building the cultures that speak for themselves. You might be thinking that cultures are built in the organization, but let me clarify. Cultures can be built in colleges, schools, classrooms, uh, even teams, or even we can set culture for this talk. So, to set culture for this talk, let's set some ground rules. So, first ground rule is if I ask you something, you will respond back to me, right? Second ground rule, are you able to see this picture? Are you able to see the two people in red dress and the people in red, the car? Yes, you are able to see that. Let me tell you, this is a black and white picture. What someone has done is someone has put colored lines on it. And what your mind is doing is filling color in the black and white picture. That's how we build cultures. We just create some examples and people fill colors in their own pictures. And we are going to do the same thing in this presentation also. I am going to give you certain parallels and you are going to fill colors in your own picture of culture. Fine? Look, I am a movie buff. So this presentation has movie references. In case you are not a movie goer, you will have problem in understanding this presentation. Although no parental guidance is required, all the images which have been used are for educational purposes and copyright is with the owner. I am not going to tell you the ABCD of building culture. I will directly tell you the PQRST of building the culture. And I'm not going to talk about big yarn. I will talk about small things. Very, very small things. And if at the end of the presentation you are able to take one thing with you, then whatever time we are spending together is worth spent. So we are done with this. Let's start. Who's ever thought of this topic, HR beyond the desk? That person thinks HR people are made of steel. I think HR people are made of soft material, like hearts. But no, this guy thought HR people are made of steel. And whenever they go to office, the magnet in their chair activates. And zoop, they come and get glued to the seat. So, if this is the case, HR beyond the desk, then who is making rangolis? Look, both the jokes can't be true. Who is making rangolis? And frankly speaking, rangoli thing is not a joke. Rangoli thing is a truth. We HR people make rangolis. We make rangolis and we are proud of it. Because when we make rangolis, we create a glue. This glue keeps the organization together. And this glue is called culture. Now, I've been using this word culture a lot. So let me explain what is culture. Culture is very simple. The definition is very simple. Just three things. How we think, how we act, and how we interact. How we think, how we act, how we interact. Let me give you an example. Lord Krishna told Arjun, you have to think differently. Parth, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन. So do your job, do your act. So he did his act and he killed all the bad people in his family. And then he went to, in the evening, he went to Bhishma Pitama and said, he touched his feet and said, I am very sorry, but I had to do what I had to do. So he was respectful also in the interaction after doing the job. You are thinking, it is the thought which was placed in his mind by Lord Krishna. It is the thought which matters. So how you think, how you act, and how you interact, that defines the culture. Now, there are 4 types of cultures. We have to talk about cultures which speak for themselves. So there are 4 types of culture. One is hierarchy culture. Hierarchy culture basically depends upon process. These are the people who say, we have to do it right as per the process. So there is a clear hierarchy defined. There is a boss, and then there are subordinates. Boss tells what to do, and other people just do it. The only problem with this culture is boss can say anything. Like boss can tell you whose face you have to see on a Sunday. Boss can also tell you you have to work 90 hours a week. So these are the problems which are there with hierarchy culture, but this is a very successful culture and a lot of people follow it. There is a second culture which is called clan culture. Here, process is not important. Here, what is important is people. They are people focused. So whatever they will do it together. Like all the people will sit and do it together. How many hours we have to work? They will ask everyone, how many hours, how many hours, how many hours? 48 hours. Everyone okay? Okay. So they will decide. This is how they decide how they have to work. There is a third kind of culture. Now this is a very impractical culture. It is like they want to do everything first. Means first time in the world. It is innovation culture. They want to innovate. They don't even care how many hours you are working. In fact, they don't even care whether you are working or not. They don't even care where you are working from. And that is why it is called adhocracy also. And there is a fourth kind of culture, which is called market culture or competition culture. Now, these guys are very competitive because they want to do it faster. And if you have to do something fast, like these guys also don't define number of hours. Like in adhocracy, they don't define number of hours. But they define targets so tightly that you finally end up working more than 90 hours. But it is your choice. And most of the consulting organizations have this kind of a culture. So these are the 4 kinds of cultures which speak for themselves. And don't judge these cultures. Don't judge these cultures. They fit the organization. And you can build any of these cultures for any of the organization the way you want to. So in your team, if you want to create you can choose from one of these cultures and you can build that culture. Now, interestingly, the recipe for building these cultures is just the same. You want to build the hierarchy culture, clan culture, or competition culture, or adhocracy, process is just the same. It is just that ingredients change. So, how to build a culture? Very simple thing. Set expectations. When you set expectations, and then you have to enable and inspire people to fulfill those expectations or to follow those expectations. That is how the culture is built. And you might be thinking, oh, it's not simple. Yes, it is that simple. How expectation setting is done? Parampara, Pratishtha, Anushasan. You get it? So anyone comes and talks in those terms, the person sets the culture. Like we also had set the culture in, if you see Mithibai as a college, fine? So Mithibai also has set a culture. Just by saying those words, higher, still higher, that sets the tone of the culture. Now, how do you set a tone? It is set by three things. And I will explain those three P's based on which this culture is set. So, how do you set expectations? First thing is, it is called purpose. You remember Dhoni? He struggled a lot. Captain Cool, he went through that rigor. He wanted to be there in the Indian cricket team. He did not went through that rigor just to be in that cricket team. He wanted to do something bigger. And he did that. If you remember Kapil Dev, he kept repeating, "Mamma ne kaha hai jeet ke aana. Mamma ne kaha hai jeet ke aana." Puri team. He has been doing that. It was his purpose to win. And that is why purpose is very important. Now, when you have purpose, you can achieve your purpose in many ways. One is you can break everyone's head by throwing bouncers and you can win the World Cup. But no, you can't do that. Why you can't do that? Means you should not be doing that. For that, everyone has a rule book. So we write a holy book, which is called rule book. And if see, each and every religion has a rule book. Bhagavad Gita, Quran, Holy Bible, Guru Granth Sahib. Each religion has a rule book. In fact, cricket has a rule book. All countries have a constitution which is just like a rule book. And kids have their own rule book. And each one of them follows this rule book religiously. So you define the purpose, you define the rules, which are called policies. Now, the problem with this is you can't write everything. So you have written rules and you have unwritten rules. Unwritten rules are called practices. That's how you set expectations by doing just these three things: purpose, policies, and practices. Second thing is how to enable and inspire people. Now, this whole thing, I told you I will tell you PQRST. This is PQRST. How do you enable and inspire people? Now, what is the outcome of this PQRST when you enable and inspire people? People feel pride. These are the people who are dancing. Dancing because Mars rover has landed on Mars. These are ISRO guys. Initially, I thought these are the people who are scientists of ISRO, who have actually put the rover on the Mars. But no, this is the administrative staff. They did not put the rover on the Mars. But still they are happy, they are excited, they are dancing. Because organization created a culture where they felt pride. When you enable and inspire people, you actually create pride. So, how to do that? We will understand. So, first is, which is called pledge. You have written a rule book. So, anyone who joins the college, you give that person a rule book. Anyone who joins the organization, you give that person a rule book. This is the rule which is to be followed. Right? So, that is called pledge, which is oath ceremony. That you explain the rule book to a newcomer. This process is also called induction. Now, second important thing is when you have pledges, after that you create forums where like-minded people, like we have come together, like-minded people can come together and do something. So that is called quests. Right now, this is the quest which is going on, which is Mahakumbh. So everyone comes, like in Mitibai, what they have is something called solace, where love, affection, care, and empathy is given to the cancer patients. And um, that is all about quests. The R of PQRST is rituals. Now, rituals are like morning assemblies, morning meetings in the organization, that you come every day and they talk about it. Again, they talk about purpose, they talk about policies, they talk about practices. These three things only. Uh, Principal is there, they do prayers, they do pledges. Oh, uh, then coming on to uh, stories. So when you inspire through stories. And the last one is togetherness. So togetherness, Gallup says if people are together, they work better. And that's why what you do is you send people to police station so that they can interact with police and create bonds. In fact, that is why HR guys create Rangoli competitions, and that is what we are proud of.